Hello, my name is Dan Johnson and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm reviewing the finale of Doctor Who Series 1. Now I've taken a short break and I am quite glad I did because this does feel like one big epic finale and not two individual episodes. In fact, if I ended up reviewing Doctor Who last week, I think I would have really struggled to find much to say as we're really getting half a story. This week, I think I have said the word Sutekh at least 15 times a day. In the middle of the night at 2:30 in the morning, on Saturday morning, I was watching Doctor Who on my iPad, sharing a room with my friends, and screamed out the words, "Oh my god, Sutekh," and woke up one of the heaviest sleepers I know. I mean, I think that reveal is brilliant. I've watched the episode 3 times now because I saw it in the cinema last night. I have watched that cliffhanger multiple more times individually. I think that cliffhanger, the Sutekh reveal, is brilliant. It's so well constructed. It's so well edited together. It's frightening. It's a really great threat, and made me very, very excited for what was to come in part 2. I do find it interesting, though, on rewatches, now I've seen it 3 times, that there is a lot of that first part that drags. A lot of The Legend of Ruby Sunday does drag because you are essentially building up to that reveal. Everything is centered around who the Susan Triad is, and it's very clear from the get-go that there's going to be a big reveal. So when you are watching it for the second or third time, you do sit there going, I know what the reveal is, I'm just waiting for all the characters to catch up, and there's not a lot of enjoyment um, watching this mystery, because sometimes you can have mysteries that you enjoy because you're watching the characters work it out, but it just felt like they were lagging behind and it was just not very enjoyable. As that first part is held up by the mystery of who is behind all of this sort of stuff, I did have a slight element of nervousness when it came to, let's just hope that everything pays off, that this amazing cliffhanger um, has a satisfying conclusion. We'll be talking about whether I'm satisfied by it later, but for the most part, I think this episode was pretty good. There is issues. Don't get me wrong, there are issues, but I did enjoy it. The world is dead, and I am a sucker for end of the world stories, or invasion stories for that matter. I just really enjoy when the world and the Doctor is at their final straw, their last hope. And I enjoy those sort of stories. So with this one, when you've got these hooded, creepy, ghoul-like characters, you've got Sutekh, who's taken the TARDIS, the whole thing just screams for my attention. Some of it is a little bit odd. There's the bit with Mel when she says that, we've got no other option but to fight. And of course, we have all of our unit gang and all of our side characters being destroyed in Sutekh's gift. And at that point, I went, okay, we're just going to get a simple sort of time reset, something like that brings everyone back. We've seen it many times before, which was a bit of a shame, but I understand why they did it, because they want a big finale, especially for newer fans. So next, I want to talk about Ncuti himself. I want to talk about the Doctor. Now, a lot of people on the internet have talked about the fact that Ncuti basically cries every episode at every element, and when you have that scene when the Doctor's talking about, I'm going to call it his grief, when he realizes he's in trouble, that he's caused the destruction of the universe by traveling. He may not have been aware of it, but him being that lacking of responsibility and just trying to have fun has caused the end of the world. And there's that lovely shot when he yells. It's a little bit melodramatic, to be honest, but there's that shot when he yells and the camera pans back. And then I think this feels like it should have more weight than it currently does. And then you think back, and I thought back to episode 5 in Dot and Bubble, when the Doctor yells again, and that tries to have more weight, but doesn't feel like it quite hits for me. And I felt the same here. And the moment at the end, our ending, which does satisfy me for the most part, but his words feel empty. He sits there and he says things like, if you're the god of death, I am the god of life. And the whole sort of death and death equals life. Just, we'll let them have it. It's a bit of a weird sort of convenience, but we'll let them have it. You get moments like that that feel like they should have that emotional weight that a finale should have, and they simply don't. But then again, watching Ncuti on that TARDIS is still quite a cool moment, even if some of these lines where, you made me into this, for example, doesn't work. A couple of episodes ago in Rogue, the Doctor was going to send those birds into like an eternity of just existence without any purpose and just sort of like torturing them essentially. Was that not Ncuti being a monster then? Was that him being a kind Doctor? It's almost like the arcs of the Doctor here. They didn't quite know what they wanted to do. You have some episodes where the Doctor is very, very happy. You get some where he's got this sort of dark edge, like Dot and Bubble in Rogue, for example. And then you've got stories like this, which feel like it should be the end of Ncuti's arc of, the man that didn't have a family found a family, or that the Doctor learned how to open up and become a happier person. But none of that seems to be working. You have elements of it that make the disguise that it's almost working, but at the same time, underneath all those layers, if you think about it, I can't say what Ncuti's arc has been this year. I could say, okay, so he is the god of, if he's the god of life, and that Millie Gibson's character Ruby has allowed him to open up more about his family. But there's been no elaboration on that, or not such that has led to a satisfying conclusion. And of course, our companion has also had the end of her arc, and this definitely feels a little bit more conclusive. I have a bit of an issue. Ruby's mum being a regular person does feel like slightly cheating the audience, in the fact that the series has made up her to be this big force, that there's something that Sutekh is scared of. What could it possibly be? It's just a woman. The reason that we were so scared, or the reason that he was so scared and curious to find out what her name was because we built it up ourselves. And I thought, no, I don't buy that for a second. I think that's absolutely rubbish. The fact that when they're looking at the hologram in the previous episode, and it's sort of distorted, and you go, why is it distorted? Who would distort it? It's just coincidence, really. I just don't like that. And I hope as I rewatch it that I don't sit there during these moments when it starts snowing and stuff like that, and I think, oh, it's just coincidence. It's just that we made it up in our heads that this was important when really it was just a woman. And of course, there's this moment that in my mind made me sort of sigh in the back of my mind, and that was the bit when she was pointing at the Doctor, the hooded lady, the mother. And I thought, ooh, could this mean that she knows about Sutekh and she's pointing at the TARDIS to warn the Doctor that Sutekh is there? Or that, it's something important that we'll learn the mystery to later. No, she's pointing at a sign. She's naming her daughter, who is called Ruby anyway. So it's not like Ruby was struggling with her identity and working out who she was. No, she was always quite happy with her name and quite proud of her name. So I guess it's nice to have her name confirmed by her mum. I'm not sure exactly what the point of that was. Was it just so that we thought that the point meant something and it didn't? It was a disguise, once again. And I do feel cheated by that element. So in the end, was I satisfied by this story? I think I was. I will have to watch it a few more times, and like I say, rewatching it with the other episodes and seeing it snow and stuff like that, is that going to annoy me? Maybe. Would it ruin it for me in the fact that this story is right up my street? This is a big monster. This is a big climactic battle. We've got guns, we've got threat, we've got epic theme music. This is the kind of stuff I really enjoy about Doctor Who. So I'm bound to be partial to it anyway. And as we continue into series 2, and as I continue to rewatch it, will I find these things annoying? That, in that respect, time will have to tell. I'm quite happy we have some unanswered questions, although I am slightly irritated that when I was watching it in the cinema, they played part 1. They have a 15-minute interval, and then they have a special message from Millie Gibson, and she says that your questions will be answered, and then she says, but not all of them. And I thought, that is the first time they've said that not all of the questions will be answered. There's interviews, little snippets that I've heard of Russell T Davies talking about this sort of stuff, saying you will get answers, but they never specify that you will not get answers for everything. So that, publicity wise, brilliant move, but at the same time feels like we're slightly cheated once again, which does leave a slightly sour taste in my mouth, but we got all of the elements that I wanted in terms of the Ruby, in terms of Sutekh, in terms of Susan Twist and why she was appearing everywhere. We have that. It's just Miss Flood and who Miss Flood actually is. But I'm sure we'll work that out in series 2. We have plenty more to look forward to. I did find myself being quite sad on the way home, thinking, oh, that's it now. I've got to wait till December for a new episode of Doctor Who. What a shame. But I do hope you've enjoyed my review. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching and commenting during this season. I've really enjoyed doing my reviews for you all, and I've loved reading your comments. I have a few more to read because I've been a little bit busy the last week or two to go back and reply to everyone. But I shall get round to it eventually. But once again, thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I shall see you soon. Goodbye.